Hi guys. Sorry. I should probably get into the frame. Oh. Wow, I'm really far away from the camera. Here. Here. Ugh. Okay, the camera is not even facing me. This is angled funny. I'm trying something a little different today. Unboxing knife. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm not getting any chat feedback. Stream's looking and sounding good. Awesome. I'm going to wait a few minutes, see if a few more people come in. I am tired today. Today's been, I should probably close this. Today's been a heck of a day. I'm working on maybe 2 hours of sleep in total. It's rough. What's that say? Unable to connect to chat, please try again later. Am I still live? I might have just dropped out. This box is sitting on the modem. Ah, 1 second. What is going on here? Well, it's still looking live. My live chat has gone out, guys, so I have no clue what you guys are saying right now. I'll have to connect to my phone or something so I can read the live chat. I don't know what's going on here, but it should be a good stream. Everything's looking fine. Let's see here. Same here, man. Yeah, I can read everything. And it's not too laggy on here. Okay, I don't know what's going on with the live chat, but I can just read it off of here. Okay, so today has been a long day, as I was saying. It's I've been up. I've had maybe 2 hours of sleep. My Great Dane Xena started getting sick yesterday, and I wasn't really sure what's going on with her because she started her heat Saturday, and I knew it was going to be a rough heat because she came from a puppy mill. I didn't know it when I got her. We figured out pretty quick it was a puppy mill, and she was probably inbred, so she's got some deformities down in that area. And yesterday I thought it was just because it was her first heat and everything wasn't working super great. Hi Jay. Everything wasn't just working super great, but by that point she should have probably stopped bleeding. And she was still bleeding and she started having peeing problems. And that night I realized that she probably had a UTI. And I had to stay up with her all night long, keep her company, comfort her, make sure she didn't pee all over the house. And I dropped her off at the vet at 9 a.m. this morning and picked her up at 4 o'clock today. And she had literally the worst bladder infection that my vet has ever seen. Ever. In fact, probably another day or so, she probably wouldn't have made it because this morning she was pretty rough. It's nothing I did, nothing that my girlfriend Jessica did. It's just the way that her woman parts are built, and they don't clean themselves very well. It got infected, and being a new puppy dad, couldn't really figure out until it was getting close to being too late. But she she's going to pull through. She's on the strongest antibiotics I've ever seen for an animal. She takes over like 700 milligrams of whatever this is twice a day, and it's already slowly starting to clear up a little bit, and she's only been taking it, the antibiotics, since like 2. So she's going to be all right, but I'll tell you what, I am tired. Um, in fact, I thought about just canceling the stream and rescheduling it for another day because I'm still on no sleep. But 1,400 milligrams will kill anything. 1,400 milligrams in total, yeah, a day. So it's 2 700s a day. So yeah, it hopefully will kill everything and not her, because she's not been happy, and she currently has to stay in her cage because she is leaking everywhere. And I don't know if that's too graphic for you guys, but she is leaking everywhere. So that cage is going to need one heck of a scrub down. But she's a fighter. She's had other health issues before. Since she was from a puppy mill, she came with a heck of a lot of issues. She was supposed to be a show quality dog. I saved her, basically. She probably wouldn't have survived much longer if I hadn't had got her. She was really sick as a puppy, super sick. Honestly, if it had been a few more days without having her and getting her treatment and stuff, she would have died then. So she's a fighter. She's a strong pup. But yeah, I'm tired. Anyway, guys, so let's see here. Read a few things real quick. Friend, help me with a problem. Look, I have a 5.1 Pro, 2 times 3.3 gigahertz, Pulse 580 graphics card. I install Catalina, but after about 10 minutes, my computer turns off. That could be a power supply issue, and it actually sounds mostly like a power supply issue. What do you think, Jay? It might be a power supply issue. You might want to check that out. Make sure that the 580 is getting the right power, and make sure everything's seated properly, and see how it goes. It's all right if you can't speak English. That translated totally fine. He's from Ecuador. Welcome to the stream. But anyway, my cat has incorrectly formed sinuses, and for 12 years I have had him. He has had multiple face cleanings. Yeah, it is a labor of love. For sure. I'm glad you're doing that for him. But anyway, so guys, if you notice, I'm sitting on the floor of my dad's man cave. This mess, once again, is not mine, it's his. And I haven't touched anything in this room other than to slide things to the side a little bit so I can walk through here. All these cables are actually his cables. I haven't moved them, although I have reused a few of them. We're streaming off some of these cables right now. But yeah, we're on the floor right now. And, well, there's a box next to me. I thought we'd start out the stream with an unboxing. I got a package from Josh Lambert. If you don't know who Josh Lambert is, Josh wrote up the blog article on how to upgrade the GPU of an iMac. You know, his was a mid-2011 like mine. I based my mid-2011 GPU upgrade video on. He wrote that blog, and he actually, he and I have became friends on Facebook because of all that. He's a great guy. I got a package from him. He literally sent this to me for the price of shipping. He just wanted rid of it. And I'm not going to spoil what's in it until we open it, because it's a live stream, so why not? Josh, this is a live stream, so if it didn't come to me in one piece, I blame you. I'm kidding. But anyway, we're going to open this up and see if it survived. Then I've got a few things over here we'll show later on in the stream, just as teasers for stuff that will eventually be coming in the future, but God knows when. So that's going to be fun too. And I'm going to drink a little Baja Blast here. Okay. So, oops. Glad that wasn't open. We're going to open this up and see if it survived. I'll tell you one thing, Josh. This is an interesting way to package it, but also neat. The box ends right here, and he extended it up, folded it over, then put a piece of cardboard across the top to finish sealing the box. I like that. So, okay. Once we open this, I'll explain to you why I wanted another one. Yes, I already have one of these. In fact, I've done a video on it already, a few years ago now. It's a lot of tape, Josh. See what we, hello all. Hi, Tim. Huh. Nick can speak Spanish. Neat. Okay, so this started in I think this is a Lowe's box. And now we're in a Home Depot box. Okay. Honestly, I'm just going to rip this box and try to peel it off. Have you guys figured it out yet? This is about the size of what it is. Any ideas? I can do Spanish kind of. So you going to take any guess? Anyone? Okay, we'll just open it then. 68K PowerBook. In a box this size? No. But it is a Mac, you got that much right. Okay. A 2FX? Nope. It's a lot newer than that. A heck of a lot newer than a 2FX. Nope, not PowerBook 100. And this is the moment of truth here. Ooh, it's pretty straight. And you guys still can't see it. You're about to. If I can figure out how it comes out of the box. Alright, we're going to flip it upside down and see if it comes out. Because I think this is indeed upside down. Ready? It's not coming out. Alright, we'll just cut the box. Ready? Here's the moment of truth. G3 tower, it's getting warmer, but no. And it's not G4 either. Getting even warmer. So we're just going to reveal it. Ready? Ta-da! It survived. This part's a little bent, but I think it already was. And of course they always bend right there, it seems. It's upside down, if you haven't figured that out. But, I don't know if you can quite figure out what it is yet. What is it? Yeah, Nick, yours. No, it wasn't a 5,1. Very close. Liquid cooled G5 is really close, but it's not liquid cooled. This is another, at least it should be, another Dual 2.0 mid 2003, I think. He said it was. This should be a 7.2, 7,1, 7,2, 7,2. Not the 7,3. Let's see if it is. It is. PowerMax 7,2, 2 gigahertz, 2 times 512 megs of RAM, 160 gig hard drive, Radeon 9600 Pro, 64 meg. It does not have the hard drive anymore, but here we go. It is a mid 2003. And it looks like it mostly survived. In fact, this I think has the same damage as mine, if not mine's up here. But it's a common thing, of course, with them, and I think it was already like that. So it survived shipping, and that's I'm not going for aesthetics. I'm going for functionality. If this thing works, I'd like to show it on camera running, but we can't right now because I have nothing to plug it into. I mean, I do right over there, but then I have to disconnect the stream to plug it in. I'm not doing that. So, yeah, mid 2003, it survived. It's a Dual 2.0. Double check to make sure. Yep, 2 gigahertz. The reason why I bought this is I've got 4 2.7 G5 CPUs right now that have to go off to J. When they come back, I'm going to rebuild my actual 2.7 that's getting air-cooled converted. And then I'm going to cram 2 more in a mid 03 for 2 reasons. One, it did not require water pump at the time, and these should run 7,3 G5s in them. I want to test that theory out. And the other reason is the fan curves on these things suck, and they're always blaring fans constantly anyway, so it should keep them cool. And if anything, I can retrofit some later CPU coolers on it, probably. But it's going to be a fun, exciting topic, and I'm looking forward to doing that. So, yeah, it's going to be fun, and we'll be doing a big old upgrade with this thing, and I'll do a video on making sure it works. And the reason why I'm not doing this to my mid 03 is because it's fully functional, although it howls like a banshee half the time, and because it's since it's fully functional, I just don't want to touch it. This, on the other hand, if I blow it up, it cost me the price of shipping, which wasn't a whole lot. So I won't hurt too bad if I end up breaking something. So yeah, we'll definitely see if that works. Anyway, so that's the unboxing for the video. I'm going to move your guys' camera back to where it belongs. and we're going to do the normal Q&A sit down. Ugh. All right. All right. Move this monitor back around. Move the things I want to show you guys out of camera before I move the camera, so you guys have a surprise. Drop half of the things. Oops. Get a really itchy nose in the middle of it. Ah! Okay. So, whew. Okay. So hi guys. Angle this down some. Bring the chat back up because it's still not showing up. Alright, let's see here. How many G5s do you own now? Like 8? It's a good question. It's not like 8, but we're getting there. I've got a mid 03, another mid 03 now. The mid 04 / early 05. I think it's an early 05, but they apparently had the same logic board in them. And then 2 late 05s. So that's 5 G5s. I think that's all of them. So yeah. This is annoying. It wire in the way. There we go. It's a lot better. So, welcome back to the squeaky chair. All right. Man, I got my 2010 Mac Mini in the mail today. I swear there was more money spent in packaging material than the $85 bid I won it on. What a coincidence! That will be the first thing I show. Look what I got in the mail today. I ordered this at 2 o'clock Christmas Day. And it came in the mail to me probably around 9 a.m. today. Really, really quick shipping. This is the 2.66 2010 Mac Mini. It's got, I think, 4 gigs of RAM in it right now. I plan on upgrading it to 16. And it might actually end up becoming... I'm trying to talk Colin into it because he wants to do it to his own, but I'd rather him do it to mine. Trying to talk Colin into do a excuse me, do a CPU swap on this too. Either way, this is the rare model. Not a lot of people bought the 266. They were mostly 2.4s, and most of the 2.66s were actually server models, as far as I know. This is an actual one with the optical drive. So, but I also bring this out because I wanted to quickly talk to you guys about what a great deal aluminum Mac Minis are right now on eBay. They're like incredibly good deals. In fact, you can get a 2011 Mac Mini for about the same money as a 2010. It will have an i5 or an i7 in it. Now, I would stay away from the higher end 2011s because they have dedicated graphics from AMD in them, and you can't run anything past High Sierra properly. Because of that, plus they melt. But the low end 2.3 i5s, I just bought 2 of them for 139 bucks each. I'm going to use one as a server, and I'm going to cram one into an iMac G4, at least attempt to. And if that doesn't work, I could probably just rebuild it and make it into another server. But aluminum Mac Minis are going for great deals right now, except for the 2012s, which are still pretty high. But I also just bought a 2012. All of these I bought on Christmas. And I'm still waiting on the rest of them to come in. But they're great deals. I just got the most powerful 2012 Mac Mini ever made for less than $500. I think it's now the most expensive Mac I've ever bought. And I think it's also the newest Mac I own. Although it's still not here. It's still in the mail. But Mac Mini, aluminum Mac Minis from 2012 back are doing great deals now. The 2012 one, the most powerful one, that was the most powerful aluminum Mac Mini until the 2018 models. Yeah, even outdid the 2014 models. Because it was a quad core, and the 2014s were dual cores with really low clock speeds. Because Apple, that was just so stupid. Plus, it was still upgradable. 2014s weren't. But the 2018s fixed that problem. But yeah, I'm getting a bunch of these. I'll be doing different projects on them. I don't know what to do with this one yet. If Colin doesn't take it. I had another idea with the 2012 I bought. A lot of people convert them into optical drive ones. But it requires soldering and cutting some stuff. And relocating a few capacitors. But I kind of want a 2012 with an optical drive. That would be neat. I've been wanting to do that, literally been wanting to do that since the 2012 came out in 2012. I kept looking into how you would be able to do it, and there's this really good thread up that talks about it. And, you know, that thread's been up since 2011, when the 2011s came out with no optical drive. Then they updated it for 2012 also. And it's still doable, it's just not quite as easy. It could be an interesting video. But I don't know if I want to hack up the most expensive Mac I own. Even though it's still a Mac Mini. I'll still have to think about it. So that was a great transition there, Dysfunctional Wombat. So, let's see here. Oh, and Jay mentioned something about my teeth earlier, and I didn't address it. I don't know when I can see the dentist because this stupid local dentist still won't call me back. And I keep getting voicemails. I don't even know if he still exists. But living out in the middle of nowhere can be a headache sometimes. I might have to actually go into the big city. Christmas Eve, I chipped my tooth. Christmas Day, I chipped it more. And I talked about it in the early 2008 iMac unboxing video that released about 3 or 4 hours ago. It is quite chipped right there. It looked like Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber. But honestly, it could be worse. This tooth's been really, really weak for years. Where did I put my pop? There it is. It's been really, really weak for years. So, it was bound to happen. And it did happen. I'm sure Jay is telling you all about it in the chat. Not yet, apparently, but I'm sure he will. I'm not going to go into detail about it. But yeah, I got new dental work. And now I'm just hoping that the dentist can fix it. But anyway.
I wasn't, but now I will.
Great.
But anyway. That's hilarious. All these people with 2011s. I mean 2010s. I was going to get a 2011, but 2010 was good as I could afford at the moment. Plus, I really want a super drive.
Yeah, but a little bit more, you can get the 2011, a lot more power. I understand about price, but a lot more power for a 2011. Plus, like I said, you can convert it. If you buy the case, the 2011s are easier to convert than 2012s. You just buy the 2010 case, slide it out, and then you need a super slimline slot load. And I think you've got to cut like one hole in the bottom of it or something like that. And then you just need the ribbon cable from the 2010 to plug it in, put it back together, slide it into the new case. You're done. 2012 takes a lot of hacking and relocating parts to get it to work. That's another reason why I don't want to do it yet. In fact, I might do it to the 2011 first if I decide to do a super drive. But 2011 would be good practice.
I posted in the video, you'll get it bonded for tooth and bottom one's chipped can cause issues with the top. Right. He likes to chew on dog toys.
That's not what I was doing, but yeah, a dog toy did it. I was playing with my girls and I wanted them to actually play with me. Sometimes they don't like doing that for some weird reason. So I started pretending I was eating one of their really hard plastic turkey legs and literally just tink, barely touched my tooth with it. And I didn't even feel it. I just heard tink, and all of a sudden I'm spitting out tooth particles. It was just a freak accident there. So that's what happened.
I have 6 bonded in all front upper and lower teeth.
Whew, that's rough. I'm hoping they can just, I'd rather them not cap it, but maybe they can figure out a way to rebuild it, even if it's not exactly the right color. I'd at least like it to be lined up again. Plus, it'd be nice because, like I said, that piece has been weak for so long. It'd be nice to actually have a strong tooth again.
So, I have a Pimp Tech says I really have been having problem with Windows installed on my Mac keeps blue screening. No idea how to fix the violation code. What model Mac is it? It's probably because it's installed GPT. If it's one of those Macs that I'm thinking it is, you need to switch it to being installed on MBR, and that should fix all your problems. Because GPT causes a lot of driver headaches, and when drivers install, it just causes crashes instantly. That's probably your problem, but I wouldn't know without knowing what Mac it is, what model and whatnot. Greg, how many Macs do you own in total now? Could be around 100, right? We're getting close. I've lost count because I stopped keeping track. I've got to go through them all and figure out which ones I actually have written down and mark them. Because I lost track about 10 or 15 Macs ago, probably. I want to say I have around 85 or 90 now, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I have no clue. But probably around there. No, Nick, I didn't have the toy in my mouth. I was holding it right here, and tink! It was really stupid, but that tooth was going to break eventually anyway. It broke. It's a 2006 MacBook. It probably wouldn't even let you install GPT. A 2006 MacBook would be running GMA 950 graphics if it's a MacBook and not a MacBook Pro. Honestly, I'm not sure. If it did somehow install GPT, that's your problem, but I doubt it would because it shouldn't even be able to boot off of GPT on a system that old. GPT booting started in late 08 models, I think. So anything after late 08, you can boot with GPT, but it will cause a lot of problems. GPT wasn't really fixed until like 2013 models. And most pre-2013 models just can't boot GPT properly. Luke Miani learned that the hard way with his iMac upgrade videos when he tried to install Windows 10, and it kept blue screening when he installed the sound. That's why. You gotta be in VR. But I'm not sure what it could be doing it. If it's a MacBook Pro, if it was a MacBook Pro, it could be a graphics issue. The 2006 MacBook Pros, the GPUs like to start dying like later ATI/AMD cards. It's rarer, but it does happen. That could also be your issue if the chip's just giving up the ghost and then crashing. But there's no real way for me to diagnose it honestly without actually being able to see the computer itself in person. But that might give you a few ideas, and hopefully that helps you a little bit. Yeah, they can build it up. Cool. Well, hopefully, Malto, they can build my tooth up. That would be neat. A1347. Yeah, that's the Mac Mini, isn't it? Yeah. A1347. You're right. Crazy, I have a MacBook Pro 4,1 with SSD, 6 gigs of RAM. Just put Catalina on it. It's running cooler than any other previous OS did. It's because they cut all that 32-bit code out, and it actually kind of streamlined it running. The thing is, Catalina is still really glitchy because it's missing all that code. I'm not running it anytime soon. Plus, I still run a lot of 32-bit apps. But I'm glad it's working for you, and that's why it's working so well. It's just it's a lighter weight operating system. Even though it's got more features, it's got a lot less code in it. Pimp Tech says he did it in boot camp. Followed your old video from 3 years ago with the Microsoft Orca thing. Okay, so it's the 32-bit CPU Mac series. It is incredible that people are actually watching that now because it was a huge flop when it first came out. Okay, well, in that case, it could be, it might be if you followed my video on how to enable, I forget the name of it now, AHCI. If you followed that tutorial, AHCI actually caused a lot of problems. So if you go back to the old MBR setup, that might fix it. If you didn't do that, I'm slowly running out of ideas here. But Boot Camp 4 drivers should work fine. I'm still running Boot Camp 4 drivers on the Mac Mini that I did that video on. And it's still running the latest copy of Windows on it. So Could be a few other things. Could be RAM and stuff. And if anything, try to search the code that it gives you and see if it helps you figure out what hardware error it might be. That reminds me, I installed Windows 10 on my 2010 20-inch and 27-inch iMac, and when I restart the machine on Windows, it blue screens. Try to boot into safe mode. If it boots into safe mode, try to boot it back up and see if it boots up. If it doesn't, it might be GPT. You just have to make sure it's MBR when you install it, like I said. So like if you're trying to boot off the original install media, you'll have two options. One will say Windows, usually. I think it says Windows, and the other one says EFI boot. Do not boot off the EFI boot version. And make sure that the hard drive has been set up with Boot Camp first, or if it's formatted properly for MBR. So that might be your issue there. Though I haven't tried it, I did hear that the 2010 Mac Mini requires a special build of Snow Leopard due to some things with the HDMI port or something. I found an old blog from Stephen Hackett. I want to say that the 2011 Mac Mini can run it too. In fact, I know that 2011 Mac Mini can run it. I think. Because I know the mid-2011 iMacs can run Snow Leopard. So the 2010 Mac Mini should just run it. They might not have patched out the HDMI glitch from Apple, but I'm sure it's just a small text install that you need. It should just work. Perhaps I missed it. What kind of server things are you using the minis for? I don't know yet. I want to experiment around because I have, thanks to my dad, I have a house full of servers. I haven't used any of them yet because I have no clue how they work. Dad was a storage junkie. He took like, I'm not making this up, he took like 1 million pictures a year as an aviation photographer. And he has stacks and stacks of hard drives laying around this whole house, and stacks of Blade servers laying around this whole house. And I haven't touched one of them yet because I'm too afraid of deleting something. But I don't really need servers. I just kind of want to make servers, if that makes sense. And in fact, I might, if I can get the 2011 to work right, and if I can ever get a static IP here, I might just turn it into a website hoster server. And maybe have it serve some media files too. We'll see. But it's not going to be a hardcore server, probably. But we'll see. Yeah, it's on GPT, but when I tried MBR, it didn't let me. It said required GPT. That's because you're booting into the wrong one. Like I said, there's two versions of the Windows installer, and you gotta boot into the right one. If anything, use my 32-bit EFI Mac hacked Windows 10 install disk. It will still boot on a 64-bit EFI Mac. And you don't have to worry about the GPT one because that's all cut out with the custom ISO. Try to boot off of that and install with that disk and then update it. That's how I do it on my Macs that can't run GPT, which is 99% of all of them. Because, like I said, 2012 Mac Mini is my newest Mac. And even that one probably won't be able to run GPT. So just try that, see if that fixes it. I still want to get an Xserve. I have two. both G4s. One's the dual 1 gigahertz, one's the dual 133. So one's a tray load and one's a slot load. Those are honestly the best Xserves until you get up into the Intel ones, like the 2,1 and 3,1, especially the 3,1. The G5s were very unreliable, as Nick and Jay can attest to with the power supplies and stuff. And honestly, I think they waste a lot of energy. In comparison, the G4s conserve very well. They're based off of MDD hardware. And MDD, the hardware was pretty good. It was just the fact that it couldn't cool itself, and that's why it's so loud. That and the power supplies in the MDD suck as bad as the G5 Xserves. But the G4 Xserve power supplies seem to be fine. They never seem to go bad. So I've got two of those. I might one day get an Intel one. I'd like to convert a 3,1 Xserve, the early 2009 one, the last one, into, you can flash them with the 5,1 Mac Pro firmware and turn it into a giant flat Mac Pro. I'd kind of like to do that on a video. That would be fun. And the only drawback from that, I think, is, well, first it identifies itself as a 5,1 Mac Pro, and secondly, all the front panel lights stop working. And those are pretty neat. So it kind of sucks, but can't do anything about it. Saw your last video on comparing the iMacs. Any idea how to get the LCD and glass completely clean after reassembling said iMacs? You need a good cleaning solution. I like using my dad's favorite cleaning solution, and he's got balls of it laying all over his house. I can't remember who makes it. It's one of the optics companies. It's a great cleaning solution. It's like a mixture of isopropyl and a few other detergents and stuff. It's kind of like really fancy Windex, only it's even better than that. You need a good cleaning solution, and you need a microfiber cloth. You need to try to have it not a super dry area for static, because those things like to attach to dust instantly. It's like you clean it and turn around and it's just covered in dust again. They're real giant magnets for dust, so you want it in a more humid environment, and if you can't do that, you just need to clean it and put it together as quickly as possible and try to avoid the dust and wipe it all with a microfiber cloth and stuff. You don't want to use anything with that gives off lint, really, because that could cause problems and give off lint and dust. So microfiber cloth, good cleaning solution. And honestly, if you get it clean enough, when the screen's on, you're never really going to notice. When the screen's off, that's when you're going to notice things like that. You'll have to look really hard with the screen on to see it if you cleaned it just good enough, and not perfect. So that's my suggestion for that. Let's see here. And Jay just said it too. Clean microfiber cloth, blah, blah, blah. Maybe get something going with macOS server app and XGrid E like things. Have like a mini server rack. Yeah, Jay actually has one of those. I think Sonnet made them. They're really neat. They turn Mac Minis, these ones, into Blade servers. Really neat thing. Jay, I don't know what the thing's called, but it's a neat thing. He has it in his rack. And he's got, I think, two 2012s in it or something like that serve files. But yeah. After I get my next cert, I will reward myself with a 3-1. Right now I have a 5-1 flashed Mac Pro. 2 times 2.93, 32 gigs of RAM, flash 7970 with 6 bays full of drives. It's nice. It's a nice setup. I have a 2007 MacBook, want to run Catalina or Mojave on it. I know I have to upgrade the CPU. You have to upgrade the whole logic board. You would need, for a MacBook, at least a early 2009 logic board, because it's not socketed unless you can do BGA soldering, plus the GPU is not compatible. It's just not worth it. Now, if it was a MacBook Pro, you could BGA solder a new CPU onto it if it was a 2007, a mid 2007 or late 2007. Honestly, just a 2008, early 2008 logic board would do that too. Oh, sorry, iMac, I missed that. Yeah, you can upgrade that. I've got a video on it. As long as it's the aluminum one, just follow my video. I don't give super good detail about it, but you can see the time lapse and what it took to do it. Excuse me. And that iMac is literally running every copy of macOS from Tiger all the way through Catalina. Although I think it's running the beta Catalina right now. I never updated it. And it mainly runs Mojave. But once you upgrade that CPU, it's probably the most useful Mac ever made, longevity wise. It's very, very good. So anyway, let's see here. Just looked at Sonic's site. It's called the Rec Mac Mini. Yep, that's it. So anyway, let's move on to the next thing. Remember the iPod series. I just wanted to show this off again. Here's episode 2's star. Right here. It's not really... Anyway, it's the second generation, thickest iPod ever made. 20 gig with a 40 gig hard drive in it. Pretty neat. But I'm showing you this because I bought a iPod by HP, an iPod Color by HP, 30 gig. I don't know why I wrapped that up because I got to unwrap it to stick it in its case. But anyway, I bought a 30 gig iPod by HP with 2 3rd gens. It was a 30 gig iPod Color. The iPod Color is when the iPod Photo and mainline monochrome iPod were out. They were out together, and iPod Photo was a separate iPod line. And in early 2005, they combined the two and killed off the monochrome and changed the iPod Photo's name to the iPod Color. They only made them for a few months. They're slightly thinner and have slightly different hard drive sizes. That's the iPod Color, and I have 2 now. But this is my first iPod by HP iPod Color. My first iPod was an iPod by HP, but it was the monochrome. And this one, the guy shipped me that plus the 2 3rd generations I bought them all from the same guy. He shipped them in a bubble mailer without much of any packaging in Ziploc bags. The 3rd generation survived with barely a scratch on them. The iPod by HP got the click of death. So I'm testing it right now. Last night I rebuilt it right before I realized my dog was sick. And I temporarily rebuilt it. I had the back plate from, I think, 2007 or 2008 when I was still rebuilding them. I had the back plate from my first iPod Color, which I still have, but it's not with me right now. I restored them to brand new back plates and made them look new again. I still had the back plate, and this back plate's in actually pretty good shape. It just had some slight scratches on it. I took that back plate and the original thick 20 gig hard drive from this and made the world's thickest iPod Color 20 gig. And here it is. It's got a 60 gig back plate on it. Right here. And if we go to settings and about, it's not focusing. There it goes. 20 gigs. And the neat thing is, last night before I realized my dog was sick and now it's not focusing, focus. There we go. Last night before I realized my dog was sick, also, I was using my gaming computer to actually update this thing and set Rockbox on it. Just like the second gen. So this thing's resetting. And it crashed. That's a great demonstration. Reset again. It shouldn't crash this time. It crashed again. It was working fine yesterday. Okay, well, there's another way I might be able to get it to do it. It was doing this the other day, well, last night, at first, and then I got it to work fine. We'll reset it. This is quality entertainment, isn't it? Make sure I haven't missed anything major. Okay. We're going to try this one more time and see if it boots this time. It was working, I swear. Hey, there we go. I was getting worried there. And this actually has a custom theme on it to make it look like the stock OS, which is pretty neat. But this is indeed Rockbox running. And I didn't know this, but the more recent versions of Rockbox for the color iPods, which means the video iPods and stuff, have a lot more games on it that I didn't even know would run on an iPod. And like, for instance, all iPods that have screens on them that can run Rockbox and or iPod Linux can run Doom. That's a given. But this is pretty neat. Games. Although I can't get it to can't seem to get it to work. You can run Quake on it. Maybe. We'll see. And it will crash out right now. But hey, it started loading it. Yeah. But that's something. It crashes out and then you can just go back in. It can also run Wolf 3D, which for some reason older iPods just can't run or something. I don't know what's going on with it. I haven't actually ran Wolf 3D on this first. I think it has to compile first. We're not going to do that. Yeah, it's starting to compile the sounds. But it's got a lot of neat stuff on it that the black and white ones just don't. Although I'm sure you could try to get it to run. I wouldn't try it. They'll run Doom great, but also monochrome. It's a little hard to play Doom on monochrome. But you can do it. I used to play it on my iPod Mini all the time. Try to play it on a first generation Nano. Oh my God. It's really hard to see on that tiny little screen. But you can play it. But yeah, it was just a quick preview there. I am going to show you guys one more thing before this video is up. I got it last week. And at first I didn't want one, but then I thought about it, and I thought, I think I have every other speed of the version of what these things are. I needed the last speed. And it also happened to be the last and most powerful of said CPU. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to read some of these questions. How does an iPod from HP differ from Apple? That's a good question. I'd show you, but I don't have one sitting right next to me right now. Darn it. But I can kind of demonstrate it by showing it a normal back plate to it, because even though this is actually an iPod by HP, the back plate's just a normal iPod back plate. If you look right in between the 60 gig logo here and the iPod logo, if it's an iPod by HP, there'll be an HP Invent logo right here in between the two. And that's one of the two differences. The other difference is the standard iPods from these generations had, I think it was 11 characters for the serial number. The iPod HP by HP had 10 characters. What that meant was, iPod by HP, they were HP products. They were not Apple products. Okay, HP released iPods when Apple wanted to get more market share before they were in a lot of stores and have licenses with stores and stuff. What they did is they struck up a deal with HP to sell iPods branded by HP. And I even have some HP branded stuff from when I actually got my first iPod upstairs that I never used or only used once. Like they had iPod stickers. They were iPod tattoos. You put them into a LaserJet printer, design a tattoo that would go on the white area here to protect it and make it stylish. I tried it one time. I don't think put it on the iPod. I just wanted to see how it worked. I still have like 9 of the 10 sheets upstairs in the original package. I need to show that sometime. HP had some interesting stuff. But HP sold these, okay? Apple made it so they could get into more of the market share, because I think back in that time period, they weren't in Walmart yet, but HP was. So what they did is they struck a deal. Any place that HP sold stuff, they'd sell iPods, and it got more penetration into the market. The problem is, iPod by HP, even though it's literally identical to an Apple one, because of that logo right there and the 10-digit serial number, Apple would refuse to service these things. Only HP could service these things, and I don't think they service them anymore. Where Apple, if you brought a real 4th generation into an Apple store, the geniuses would at least look at it for you, probably. Even today, HP stopped supporting iPod by HP years ago, but Apple required you to contact HP because it was their product, not Apple's product. Even if you took it into a Genius Bar, first off, they'd try to type in the serial number, it wouldn't be in the system. and then they'd see that the HP logo was on it. And back in the day, they were trained that if they saw the HP logo, they'd say, "This isn't one of our products. We can't help you. I'm sorry. You'll have to contact HP." It was kind of a failed thing, but Apple entered into this contract with them, and it was interesting. And that was my first experience with an iPod. It wasn't an Apple product. It was an HP product. So yeah, iPod by HP. They made them for about a year and a half. They did, I think. I don't think they did the first generation Mini, but they did the second generation Mini. They did the first generation Shuffle, the iPod Color, the fourth generation Monochrome. Mine was a fourth generation Monochrome 40 gig. And I think that was all the models they did before HP backed out the contract. Although the only other contract they had was every new HP computer was supposed to come with iTunes pre-installed. And they did that until 2006. That was the only part of the contract they couldn't get out of. But they got out of selling the... in fact, I think it was more Apple. Apple just kind of kicked them to this curb when they finally got their market penetration. And the iPod Video came out, there was no HP version. But the neat thing was when they originally introduced this, and I know I'm blabbering on, but when they originally introduced iPod by HP, they showed an HP Blue. It was called HP Blue. Third generation. They never released it. But the third generation with the 4 buttons, touch buttons on the top, it was in this pale, like robin egg blue color case. It was really neat. And I'd love to find that prototype. I'm sure it got destroyed years ago. But that was the other neat little trivia thing with the iPod by HP. But that's the difference. Literally 2 things. The serial number length and the logo, and I blabbed too much about it for sure. But yeah, that's the difference. My 06 iMac started showing artifacts on the screen. Now it always fails to boot off an external drive. Apple hardware test passed. It's the GPU. Literally, that's the problem. It's the GPU. Even if it passed the hardware test, it's the GPU. The 2006 iMacs have very... they take a lot longer to die, but it's starting to get more common for people that are still using them. The ATI GPU just bakes itself eventually. I think they had the X1600 in them or something like that. And they're not good GPUs. The only way you can fix it is, I think, they're MXM1 GPUs, so you can, I think, replace it. It might be BGA soldered, but that's why. It's the GPU. Yeah, well, first off, I wish I got into iPods, but I was too broke at the time, especially when they came out when I was in college. Well, right now is a good time to get into the collecting of them, because you can still find good deals. And the price on a lot of them, they're through the floor right now. This is the lowest I've seen prices on them since like 2007. Really good prices if you want to get into that. But the one I really want to get into is 90s Skater Dude. Are Game Boy games a thing on the iPod? Emulators and stuff? Yep. I know for a fact iPod Linux has it. They had a Game Boy emulator. I don't know if Rockbox has it. I'm sure there's a plug-in you can get for it, though. Yeah, there's Game Boy emulators. I think there's also an NES emulator. I'm not totally sure on that, but then again, there's similar hardware. So, yeah, there should be an NES emulator, too. So that's another option. Since you've been doing a lot of iPod stuff, why don't you get a Motorola rocker? You know, honestly, back in the day, I wanted one when I had the Razr, but the rocker is actually a piece of garbage. I think it was limited to 150 songs, and Apple stopped supporting it in, I think, iTunes 8. iTunes 7, I think, was the last one that supported it. So getting it to work on a modern day system is nearly impossible, and it's just not worth it. It was a cheap, horribly built a phone. Phone. It was horribly built, cheaply made. Um, it had nowhere near the quality of a Razr. I think Motorola just had a design already made for a cheap entry level phone, and they decided to go into partnership with Apple. And the rocker was born out of this cheap entry level phone. I don't want one. They're junk. Trust me, you don't want one either. I'm glad I didn't get one back in the day. So, before I read some more stuff here, I want to go into the next thing. What I got last week, which I'll have to plug in. iBook G3 Snow 14-inch. It's in rough shape, but it was extremely cheap. It came from Canada. Really cheap shipping. Really cheap. The bottom case needs either it either needs polished or replaced. I'm thinking replaced. It's got some cracks in it. And I've actually been restoring iBook Snows for the last few years. I haven't done any videos on them yet. I've got a stack of them. Literally, a stack of them. I've restored a ton of them. I never actually made a video on them until now. This is going to be one of the upcoming PowerPC videos, PowerPC series videos. It reminds me, when I did the introduction to the original series, Season 1, I had 2 of my snows in the freaking video, and I never covered them. The snows are just kind of a boring system in a way, but they're actually pretty capable. But this one's special because this is the 14-inch G3 900. This is the most powerful G3 ever put into a production Mac. Not an aftermarket CPU. They went up to, I think, 1.1 gigahertz or something like that. But production Mac, this is the most powerful G3. And this I actually bought maxed out. It's got the max 640 megs of RAM in it. I mainly bought this because it's the most powerful G3 ever in a production Mac. And I want to compare it to high-end G3s, like towers and stuff, in a future video. But let's power this on. The keyboard on this thing is also pretty worn out. I didn't buy it for quality. I bought it for functionality because it's 100% functional. It looks a little worn out. Honestly, the rest of the case is in pretty good shape, including the surround for the screen. The top case could just use a little buffing. It's not too bad. It's the bottom case and the keyboard that's got the problems. But the rest of it's in pretty decent shape. And this is the iBook G3 900. And it's got a copy of Tiger on it, which I haven't updated yet. I think it's Tiger. It's extremely fast for a G3. This thing probably, I guarantee it probably will outpower a, for instance, I didn't get it in the mail yet, but I got my second G4 Titanium 500. My first one has a bad backlight inverter. But this thing here, I guarantee you this thing would probably outrun a G4 500 in performance. The G3 900 was a screamer. See if I can get that to focus. 900 megahertz power PC G3, 640 megs of RAM. It is quite a neat little system here. I think they made a 12-inch 900. I was looking for one of those. I've got a 12-inch 800, which is the same generation. And that was my first G3 iBook, period. Even before my clamshells. I got the G3 800 with a G4 800, which was in that first video when I did the introductions, and I never actually filmed them because I wanted to compare the difference between a G4 and a G3 running at the same speed. And I set them up identically down to the RAM amount and never compared them. I need to do that video. That would be fun. But yeah, this is the last thing I was going to show you guys, because it's the last thing I brought down here in the panic I was trying to get down here in time. But yeah, fun system. That's a quick preview for you for that. So I'm going to read a few more of these comments, and then I'm going to probably start wrapping up the video. I've been putting HP Broadcom 4322 Mini PCIe cards, blah blah blah. Dual band wireless in MacBook Pros and iMacs for better support on unsupported Macs. Yeah, you can do that. The 4322s are I'm pretty sure there was an Apple version. I usually use the one that was found in the early and mid 2009 MacBooks. It's a very good card. In fact, I just ordered another one to cram into my 2006 MacBook Pro so I can have 5 gigahertz and wireless in. So it's a great card. But honestly, you don't even need to do that anymore. As long as they're wireless in cards, they're going to perform the same now, because thanks to Collins Patcher and Ethan Nelson Moore figuring out, aka Parrot Geek, figuring out how to get the older drivers to work. You can use the older Wi-Fi cards. It works totally fine now. It was a problem about this time last year, but it isn't now. So, but it's still a good option. I do it to my older systems that can't support the newest version, but I want 5 gigahertz in. So it's still a good chip there. What would get $500? MacBook Air and MacBook Pro 13-inch. It has to be a 2014 or newer, 8 gigs of RAM, lowest I go. The horsepower isn't needed. I have a Mac Pro for heavy lifting. Out the two options there, get the MacBook Pro 13-inch, because the Air, it's just so underpowered, and cooling even then, it's not super great. The MacBook Pro still going to pull more power, work better. If you want it for way under $500, the latest, oldest supported with the best upgrading capabilities would be the mid 2012 13-inch non-retina with the optical drive in it. That's the pinnacle of upgradability for 13-inch. And it still performs well, except for it's got
Intel HD 4000 graphics, but it's metal supported, supports the latest OS, still pretty quick. So go for that. If you want something newer, remember that Retinas, all the RAM is soldered on, unlike the non-Retina I just said. So buy what RAM you think you'll need in the future, not the RAM you need now. Okay? And 2012 through 2014, even the 15, the hardware specs are similar. Just try to look out which ones you want, which specs meet your specs requirements the best, and compare prices. You can probably find a lot under $500. They might be a bit more worn out than new looking, but they'll still definitely work, and they'll provide you years of good work, and they don't have the crappy butterfly keyboard. So, yeah. Plus, remember, no, scratch that. Don't worry about that. I was going to say something, but it doesn't even apply to those ones. So, yeah, just search around. You'll find something. My 2012 unibody MacBook. I should have read the second one first. And it's honestly it shouldn't be that slow. It's probably the operating system giving you the big issues, because my i5 was pretty darn quick. Although, like Jay says, put the 2.9 i7 board in, which I'm doing to mine now. It's going to change it. Trust me. Colin's putting one in mine because he fried the other one trying to put a 3.0 on mine. And we never got it to work after that. It's going out of focus again. Come on, go into focus. There we go. So yeah, just try to optimize your operating system, if anything, because that might be your problem. iBooks were great, but I always considered the PowerBooks outdid the iBooks aesthetically and performance-wise also by far. True, sorta. iBooks, especially the later iBooks, the G4s, were actually neck and neck with the PowerBooks in performance. Just kind of similar to back when MacBook Pro and original MacBook line were out. They performed about the same. The separation in the market in price was a lot bigger than performance, so a lot of people went with MacBooks. It was the same thing with the later iBooks. Did I hear a dog bark? No, I think it's my house settling. But anyway, my girlfriend's trying to sleep. She works at 5 a.m., so she's got to get up at 3. I hope that's just the house settling. They're on the other end of the house, upstairs. I really hope that's the house settling. Sounds like a dog bark. But anyway, especially the later iBooks, they were actually neck and neck with the performance of the PowerBook. It's just the cheap build quality of them. For instance, I can show this to you, sorta. My first iBook that I had to rebuild hardcore came to me. I can't remember who shipped it. I think it was UPS. Shipped it
and treated it like a basketball the whole way to me. It broke the hinge. It broke the... I'm trying to open the wrong end here. Oh, wow, the battery's charging on this thing. Well, it was. It's blinking. The guy said this thing was dead. I never actually tried to charge it. Believe it or not, I've got another 14-inch 14-inch 600 G3 with the original battery, and it's like brand new. It lasts well over 2 hours. This might be another lucky find here if I can get it to charge up. That's cool. But anyway, when I got that thing, the hinge was broken on it. The piece right here had been cracked all the way through, and it had damaged the LCD. Plus, the metal frame that's in this is about as thick as a piece of aluminum foil. It's got the structural quality of graphite. You can basically just snap. Well, the frame right through here was shattered. And believe it or not, I rebuilt the entire thing. I just needed to buy a new hinge and LCD and top case. I got the iBook for free by the time it was all said and done because of shipping insurance. So it was worth rebuilding it because it cost like a quarter of the price of what it would have been in one whole piece. But I rebuilt it, and the frame I had to rebuild with JB Weld. And it's still holding today, and it's like a brand new iBook. You honestly would not be able to tell, except I had to reuse the original cracked frame, and all this area up here is damaged because it was the last version of the G4 iBook, which was actually very, very different in the top case. And you can't buy those top cases anywhere. So I had to convert the older top case into a newer one with the older parts. But other than that top case being damaged right there, you can't tell the difference of it. But what I was getting to the point is the build quality of these things are kind of crappy. But they could take a good licking and not dent. The frames might shatter, but they won't dent because they're plastic. And ow, that actually hurt. But yeah, like I said, wow, this battery's like really not sitting in this case well. I think this case is like broken right here. Not sure. It might be the battery. But anyway, the last iBooks were actually pretty similar in performance, and the price was a lot cheaper. It was a good entry-level Mac then, too. The early iBooks, yeah, I agree with them being less powerful. But you also got to remember one thing. When the first iBooks came out, the clamshells, they were known as the iMac to go. And they actually had similar performance to the regular iMac. They performed almost the same in a mobile platform. So, yeah. But you did have the PowerBook G3 and later on the G4s and stuff, while these things were still with G3s. But this thing would outperform earlier G4 PowerBooks and stuff. So, it's, at the time, the software requirements didn't require G4s. This still worked really well when this was brand new in late 2002, early 2003. Actually, I think they ran this until mid-2003. It was still a pretty good performer before they replaced it with the G4s. So, it's a mixed bag there, whether they're like toys and stuff like that, like you said. They do look cheaper. They're built cheaper. But they're not going to dent like a PowerBook, aluminum one anyway. And honestly, these things will still work with a broken frame. You'll just hear a lot of rattling. Actually, that might be some loose screws in there. I don't know if this thing came through the mail as well as I thought it did. I'll have to open it eventually. All the other problem with iBooks is these things are a pain in the butt to open and take apart. You basically have to take the entire thing apart to get to the hard drive, and it's a nightmare. iBooks have always been like that. PowerBooks are upgradable. iBooks weren't. But yeah. So I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon, guys. Dual USB iBook is the only one I like. Well, okay, Jay, that's good. The Snows, they're okay. Okay. Honestly, I like the clamshells better, but then again, when you have a prototype, Alright, guys, let's see here. Well, there's not a whole lot more showing up here. And I'm tired. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I've had about 2 hours of sleep. And as you can tell, I didn't even shower today. Because I've been busy with my dog. Taking care of her, making her better. So, I think I'm going to call this video Mr. H. Enjoy your channel. Sorry for the loss of your dad, and enjoy the live chat. I'm an IT professional at a school district in Washington. Awesome. Yeah, I actually tried to go into the IT field, but I just never could get through the school. I knew a lot of it, and I got bored really quick. And then I kind of lost focus, and it's a long story. But IT professionals, it's a great job. In fact, I used to IT for my high school when I was in high school, and worked with all the IT professionals for the county my senior year. And it's a great job. Wish it paid better, because in that case I might go back to school for it again. I also tried networking. Got bored there too. Then I had to drop out because of Dad passing away. But thank you for your condolences too. I'm trying to lessen mentioning Dad in videos. But I actually happen to be right next to the room where his urn is sitting. That's why I don't come down here very often. This is literally his man cave, and I wanted him to be in his man cave. And I don't come down here because he's in his man cave. But it's also where the internet is, so I don't have much of a choice when I live stream, so yeah. But thank you for your condolences. And it's cool. It's cool. Just get your certs. Yeah, I could try, but honestly, even though I know a lot, I don't know enough probably for the certs. And I don't want to pay for them to just, fail it. Because I'm one of those people that tries to pass everything on their first try. Got my learner's permit on the first try. Got my driver's license on the first try. Got, I think, the highest score I ever got on my ACT on the first try, and then much lower the last 3 or 4 times I took it. I always try to do it on the first try, so if I failed at the cert, that would probably discourage me to try it again. Although I should try it. But then again, if this YouTube thing takes off,
I don't really need it.
But anyway, guys,
So I'm going to call it. We had, it looks like 11 people on today. I mean, right now, currently. Wow. My live page here still has not updated ever since the chat dropped out. It still says only 3 people are watching. And I know that's not true because just here alone it says 10. So I don't know if I'll even be able to end the live stream when I hit end stream. We're going to find out. Yes, I'm not rich. Fun job. Failed A plus 3 times before passing. I could. I guarantee you I could pass A plus. In fact, I actually took all those classes even though I didn't need to because I actually knew it all already. I aced every single one of those classes, and I was getting ready for my A plus when my dad died. But getting past that, yeah, that's the only one I guarantee I could pass. I should try it. The server and stuff, I'm still not 100% on server and stuff. I'd never pass that without a lot of studying. It was also nice because my college I was at, the first time you take the test, they pay for it. AKA, I paid for it in my tuition. And I was literally a week or 2 away from the A plus cert, I think, when I had to drop out. I should have stayed long enough to do it, but oh well. But anyway, good luck on your Network Plus test. And yeah, I'm definitely going to go take care of Xena now. She's laying in her cage in the bedroom. We like having the dog sleep with us in bed. She's probably not happy right now. In the shape she's in currently, she's dripping everywhere. She's leaving a trail behind her. She can't help it. She's so swollen and sick right now. So we have to leave her in her cage until she starts getting better. And I hate doing that to her because she's one heck of a giant free spirit. And honestly, her cage is getting kind of small. She's almost fully grown into it, I think. And I didn't think she was going to get big enough to grow into it. It's a Great Dane-sized cage. So she might not be in that cage much longer if she grows much more. But believe it or not, she's small for a Dane, too. So those cages are a really bad advertisement there. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to go take care of Xena and stuff. And go to bed. I'm tired. I might test that Mac Pro. Yeah, I am tired. I might just go to bed. I might test that G5 before I go to bed, but I'm not doing that on the stream because I've got to disconnect all this. And the only way I can test it is currently I have a RAID 0 in the other G5 I have sitting next to me, which I was gaming on last night. I'll have to move both drives over and try to get it to boot off of it. The nice thing about Macs is if you set them up in software RAID 0, as long as you have both drives in the Mac, 99% of the time it will recognize the drives and boot off of them. So I think if I move the drives over, I can test to see if it works. So anyway, anyway guys, thank you guys for watching. And I'm so tired now, I can't even think what I'm saying trying to close out this episode. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching. Yeah. Oh, wow, I'm tired. Thank you for watching, and this has been Areke Mods video. My mouse is not even here. Okay. Thank you. You can tell I'm tired, can't you? Anyway, thank you guys for watching. And this has been Areke Mods video. End.